And the core features of the site that exist today, those were all in from the beginning. Is that right?
Yeah, the basic architecture was, I mean, there's a lot of detail work that goes into that. So Evan, who's led up the design and deserves a huge amount of credit for the success of the site, I mean, we worked really hard on the initial layout. Like a lot of people now are like, oh, everyone has sort of grid layouts with horizontal constraints and vertical constraints. But when we designed the site, that was actually one of the really early sites that did it. And I want to say we coded like 40 or 50 versions of that grid, and really crafted that because we felt like that was one thing that was different that people would notice, and it mattered a lot. So I think before I'd worked with a lot of designers, I sort of thought great designers were just aesthetic people, and they just like spit out like beautiful stuff. And maybe some designers are like that, but Evan grinds it out. And actually, it's sort of the philosophy of the whole team. People really grind out those designs. So, and we still do. So, that grid is, I think, we tried it at 192 pixels, 200 pixels wide, like metadata on the top, on the bottom, like with color, without color, with shadow, without shadow.
And you're testing all this stuff? Like, are you A/B testing that stuff, or just kind of like judging user feedback, or when you're making those changes?
We would just use it, and we just try to use it on a lot of devices. So that grid, it's not perfect. We're still sort of updating it, but it worked pretty well on a 13-inch screen, on a 15-inch screen, on an iPad, on an iPhone. It's scaled pretty gracefully without doing too much to it. And for us, that was an area where we thought, why don't we just overinvest in one thing that people really notice? And I think that really actually was important for us. It's sort of how we continue to run the company today.
And so throughout 2009, you still haven't raised money, or did you raise money at some point?
No, so we ended up we raised seed round first from sort of angel investors that weren't really that closely connected to the Silicon Valley tech community, and then later from some angel investors that were more connected here. So I think those angel investors out of that community, especially the former entrepreneurs, so Kevin Hartz from Eventbrite, and Max Levchin and Michael Birch, I think they were really, to me, formative in the site, because they kind of, I don't know, for the first time, these people that have built obviously awesome companies are like, oh yeah, this could be really big.
Yeah.
And that made a big impact to me. I was like, wow, like I have no business talking to that guy, and he thinks that it's going to be big, and he's putting his money where his mouth was.
Yeah.
And that was really actually important, I think, for the whole company to sort of think a lot bigger and hold ourselves to a much higher standard for what we thought we could build together.
So